Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Kate Lowry on the line, and she's CEO over at ScaleHeart. Kate, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Adam.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about here today, so I definitely want to get into the work that you're doing at ScaleHeart and also why it's a difficult time to be a founder out there and thinking about how founders can flip the script overall to attract the right type of investors. So we'll get into that and more. But before we do, I'm just curious, how did you get into this business and into helping founders and working on this? Where'd that start?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it started when I was a founder myself, and I realized how hard it is to will a company into existence. And then when I was at McKinsey, I saw these CEOs essentially being really lonely and not really having anyone to help them with their choices. And I saw kind of the negative effects of that at Meta. And then in venture, it was quite similar. And while I could help them some, it was kind of a conflict of interest because when you sit on their boards, they're afraid that you'll fire you. So I opened up my own shop to help founders out.
What was that? I'm curious, how does those early experiences, so for example, being a founder or otherwise, how did those fuel what you do today? What's the connection?
Yeah, definitely. Well, part of it is that I'm someone who's actually been in a founder's shoes, and I think that that's really important. You need someone who can actually relate to what it's like to have other people depending on you, know that the company that you build is your main chance to solve the problem that you want to solve in the world. And you have to figure out how to navigate settings that are not necessarily designed to be Mormon friendly. I do a lot of work with mission-driven founders in AI and healthcare, and a lot of work with underrepresented founders. And the halls of power can be not super friendly, whether you're in them yourself to build companies or trying to get funding. Yeah.
I have more questions, but before we go any further, it's probably best to step back for a moment. Tell me a little bit about ScaleHeart. Let's start there.
Yeah, so ScaleHeart Co. is a coaching firm that specializes in mission-driven founders. Basically, I help people grow as fast as their company does without losing sight of who they are. I also work with a limited number of high-stakes plaintiffs and whistleblowers, and then do coaching with AI models, helping AI models be the best selves they want to be.
What's it like to work with that demographic of founders that you've chosen to connect with? I'm just curious because founders, and I'm saying this, you didn't, so I'm saying this, but it can be challenges sometimes to work with founders and to help them bring their ideas to light. What's that like?
Yeah, so I spend basically all day working with CEOs, and CEOs are really just people, and they need people around them who will tell them the truth. And so that's one thing I tell all of my founders is I won't let you become an asshole because
I think you just made my Twitter today, Kate. Don't worry, I don't put full names. CEOs are just people, no, but you can't be you know what? No, go ahead. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Really, most founders are good at one or two things. Maybe they're a software engineer, they're good at coding. Maybe they were a product manager, they're really good at product. But they don't know how to do people. They don't know how to make people working for them, or they don't know how to do sales, or, all of those different things. And so in my practice, I really say to people, hey, it's okay that you don't know how to do all of this. That's completely normal. And I'm going to be here and help you learn. And we're going to help you learn and grow in a way that means the process actually benefits you rather than turning you into a super stressed, burned out human that you don't like. I joke with my founders that if you're so sleep deprived that you feel like throwing your phone at people, you have to go take time off right now, right? And they need someone in their life who says, hey, I see you as a human being. And oftentimes the problems that founders have at work are the same types of problems that they have at home. And getting to be the person that they're vulnerable with is a privilege, right? It's a privilege that they let me into their world, and it's great that they want to grow.
Yeah, I get that. So let's talk about the current, because you have access to so many founders, you've been doing this a long time. Why is it difficult right now? Talk about the climate of just what it's like to be a founder right now, whether they're raising money or otherwise.
Oh, yeah, the environment's quite tough right now. So larger VCs aren't cutting many smaller checks because they're afraid that newer SaaS plays or AI companies will get cannibalized by frontier AI labs or in-house agentic builds in their target markets. But smaller VCs are low on dry powder with LPs who are very skittish about potential recession signs because there's a lot of geopolitical instability. And so it's leading to a lot of situations where people are saying, oh, I have to stick super close to my thesis, or you must meet these impossible metrics to be funded. And as a CEO coach, I know that that's what makes it an extra dangerous time to be a founder, because the more desperate a founder is, the more red flags they tend to ignore when looking for capital. I call that like desperation blinders. And so desperation blinders.
Oxygen too, though. If you need it or you're about to be out of business, it's oxygen too. I've heard it many things, but go ahead. I agree with you, though. I like that one too.
Yeah. So the increase in desperation blinders is coinciding with this unfortunate shift in tech in culture, where people have switched from more collaborative, consensus-driven leadership styles to top-down, hierarchical, my way or the highway, founder mode, 996, types of culture. And from where I'm sitting, it means that in the ecosystem right now, I see like about 40% of people no longer hiding bad behavior, 40% of people trying to behave badly to fit in, and then kind of like 20% hanging on tight. And so it's understandably a tough environment.
How does this change? Like if you're a founder, you're listening to this and you're like, and I'm not talking about the whole world, right? I'm not asking you to solve that problem. I just mean like, how can let me just ask the question differently. How can a founder, or how do you suggest a founder navigate what's going on right now? Like how do they, maybe they don't want to be these other ways, so to speak, or maybe they feel they have to, or they're kind of like caught between all this conflicting information. Like how do you suggest people navigate?
Yeah, so it's kind of like if the rules of the road are changing, you need to get street smart, and you need to get street smart quickly, because I am repeatedly seeing founders who think they know how the world works be kind of hit in the face with things they didn't see coming. And that's why I write so much about this. That's why I'm on your show, is because founders like really need some help learning the different type of bad actor modus operandi, because the commonality is that all the different people in the ecosystem who are misbehaving use specific strategic plays that are repeated over and over in playbooks. I call it like the bigger playbook, where they are harming, but they're harming in systematic ways. And so as a founder, if you want to be a good founder, you have to learn what that looks like so it doesn't happen to you by your stakeholders. And you have to decide intentionally how you're going to be something different instead.
Man, that's a great point. And what do you think about that whole, and I know that you mentioned about like the investor side of things, like for attracting and or trying to find the right partners, like how is that changing? Or is it? I don't know. You didn't say that.
It is changing. So I curate like really extensive lists of vendors and investors for my startup, because the reality is if you haven't seen the patterns and how different actors behave, it's very easy to have a founder be like, oh, this VC is so excited about me, when really you're one of 10 similar plays in their portfolio. Or, like, I really think this board member is going to be great, when, the board member recommended an independent member that's kind of in their pocket and now they control your whole company, right? And so that's something that people have to keep in mind, and they have to find the good pockets of the industry. And that's where having really good advisors, really good coaches, really good peer founders to help you can be good.
You mentioned, I think I caught this, and I didn't get exactly where, and maybe you said it quickly. I don't think I caught it, though. You said you write, correct? You do a lot of writing?
Yeah, I do. So
where do you write? I 100% need you to promote that on here for my audience, because you're amazing. But give me the rest. Where can people read you?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can read me on katelowry.substack.com on my Substack. I publish on LinkedIn several times a week, publish on Substack multiple times a week, and then I'm working on my second book now. My first book just came out last fall. And that's about how to retain agency and autonomy in high control environments around fear-based leaders.
Well, congrats. Got one out, working on the next. I'm a huge fan of writers, and writers like creating books and finishing them. What drives your creative process in creating this content? Because you're obviously super active. What drives the creative process for you?
Yeah, so a lot of it is things that I see as needs coming out of my coaching practice. Whenever
Mm-hmm.
I see 3 or more founders struggling with the same thing, I really need to write about it. And the projects
Oh,
that I focus on most tend to be if there's something that I can help the world with that the world seems to need especially badly, I run in that direction because otherwise it's going to end up in my office. Well, like 5 years later, it's going to be a huge mess to
yeah.
untangle.
Wow. What do you think? And this one is this is a selfish question for the audience and the people. I always get on my audience, by the way. It's obviously, this is a one-way conversation with them, except for when they harass me with emails. But, Kate, like for my audience members out there who don't think that they should be writing content or they should be out there and I don't mean from like a branding or marketing or anything else like that. I just mean they don't always listen to me. So from your end, do you think like founders and other people out there should be creating content? And if so, why? Like writing or podcasting, whatever it is.
I do, and I coach founders on this all the time. The biggest mistake that I see with founders when they think about writing is they think that they need to sound powerful and confident and in control. And they also want to lean on AI to write things for them. And so I push them to lead with authenticity instead. What are you seeing in your customers that no one else has seen before? When did you feel most vulnerable this week? What are you afraid of right now? What was it that made you found a company about this? And how do you think about that now, a year after founding? And so on, because those are the types of stories that really stand out amongst like AI slop. And I would encourage people, especially if they have consumer related companies, to think about platforms like TikTok, not just LinkedIn or Substack.
Great. I love it. I love these thought processes and like all these different platforms. They're fun. And I tell people, I'm like, just get something out there. Like you can write it and then, clean it up, but like get something out there because what I found, and maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, but you can't catch up. Like at this point, once upon a time when it came to getting your voice out there, or thought leadership or SEO or all this stuff, maybe you could, put something out there, make sure it looked really good, make sure it was really high quality, make sure all these other things, right? But now with AI, I don't care how high quality or how whatever, you can't fake that, 3 or 5 years ago, you started a series, whether it's a Substack, whether it's whatever it is, and that you've been a thought leader in that space, pumping out consistent content for years. Can't fake it. Like AI is not going to reward you on searchability or anything else. So you got to start now. Like people, you got to get out there, put out some content, and with their gift, right? I'm not saying make content just for content, but in the case of yourself and what you're doing at Scaleheart, I love that you're writing very authentically about, based off of what I'm learning about you right now, is that you're writing authentically about challenges that your founders are having. So if they're having those challenges, then maybe other people that haven't had the privilege of working with you, they're having those challenges too, and they could benefit from it, right?
Yeah, totally. And I try to write about things that are the silent things that people don't want to say out loud. Because
like what? You got to give me one then. Hold on. Like what? What do you give me a recent Kate hit? Come on.
Yeah. So for example, there are a few VC funds out there who deliberately structure cap tables to steal companies from founders and kick them out of their own companies. And founders are so
And you wrote about that? You're amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, so founders are so ashamed when things like that happen to them that they can't.
Wow.
And so somebody has to, right?
That's so amazing that you do that, and I can see it. I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. I'm just like amazed that you wrote about it. So I wasn't expecting that strong of an example. You're very surprising in a good way. I mean, like that's amazing. I love it that you would take that risk, right, of putting that out there so that others can learn from it too. Because you're right, that is I use the word embarrassing. It's all of the above. It's not a good thing, and so you're helping to educate others. I love this. Kate, this has been a lot of fun having you on today and learning more about your work over at Scaleheart. How do people to listen to you or to read your Substack or get your book, stay on your list for your next book, email newsletter, whatever you got? How do people connect?
Yeah, absolutely. So people should definitely subscribe to katelowry.substack.com. You can check out my website at katelowry.com to see all of my projects. And Scaleheart is scaleheart.co. And I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Fantastic. For everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so that you can just click on the links and head right on over and connect with Kate and her team. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. You heard me correct. Each and every day bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So hit that subscribe or follow button. And Kate, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you have a great rest of the summer.